Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Today's project is to plant this beautiful multi-trunk Autumn Brilliance Serviceberry into the north side of our front gardens, into the shrub border that we established last year. So come with me, let's get this beautiful shrub/tree planted in the ground. You may have seen my recent plant haul video where I went to Lauren's Garden Service. They only sell Maryland native plants. And I bought this Autumn Brilliance Serviceberry along with several other things to be added into our gardens around the property. Autumn Brilliance Serviceberry is a gorgeous native to Maryland tree. Well, Autumn Brilliance is a native var, which means that it's a native variety selected and then propagated for its specific features. And the Autumn Brilliance Serviceberry is gorgeous in the fall with beautiful red and orange and some yellow leaves. It has beautiful white flowers in the spring, has lovely, tasty, yummy berries in June, and then in the winter, it'll provide a beautiful vase-shaped multi-trunk structure. So it's really a winner for all seasons for us to enjoy. Also, it's great for our native wildlife because although we could eat the berries and enjoy them, more likely the birds, lots of different kinds of birds will come and enjoy these service berries in June. So it's wonderful for the environment. It's wonderful for the beautification of our garden. So I'm eager to have this. I'm going to be putting it right here in this general area. And this is an area that I had designed as there was supposed to be some Clayera back here that were evergreen interest that would provide a kind of a little cup shape of screening. And then in front of that, there was a sugar tip Rose of Sharon. That's variegated cream and sagey green with soft pink flowers. Now, I've moved the sugar tip Rose of Sharon out to the welcome garden because it wasn't getting enough sun here to really flower. And the Clayera died in our winter last year. So those have been taken out already. And what I have here now is some Mahogany Splendor hibiscus. I just planted those right into the Clayera holes. And these are an annual. They're not going to last all season long, or rather, they're not going to return next season. And I just put them here because I had some that I grew from seed, and it would be a nice little reddish foliage accent here. Now, this one is about 2.5 feet tall. Those are about 2 feet tall. As the season progresses, they each would get taller and fill in a little bit more like a small tree. But again, they're in the shade. This is a nearly 100% shade area. It does get direct sun a couple of times a day, depending on where the sun is as it tracks across the canopy of our mature trees. So if these were in more sun, they would have been much bigger by now and much more impressive. They're annuals, they're temporary. So if I need to, I could take 1, 2, or even all 3 of these out in order to make room for my serviceberry. Now, also in here, I have a lot of wild violets because I'm letting them serve as a ground cover. That way I have ground plane coverage to keep our soil healthy. Wild violets are beautiful. They're native here, and I love them in the spring. I know a lot of you treat them like they're weeds. I've gone back and forth with that. Basically, I let them stay unless they're interrupting a beauty show that I have a different plan for. So back here I have some liatris, which is most of the way through its bloom cycle. It too doesn't get enough sun back here. So really I'm learning over time that this is a shade border, and I've put full sun things in here, and it's just not getting the amount of sun that it needs. Back here, there is a China Boy holly. It is only about 2 feet by 2 feet right now. You can't see it from anywhere unless you're standing right on it. And I had hoped that it would grow into a nice big, kind of a gumdrop shaped holly tree here and serve as a pollinator for the Dragon Lady hollies. I have one here, one down there, and one down there. It does serve as a pollinator for the Dragon Ladies, but it has been eaten by the deer every season, and so it has stayed really small. I need to come up with a plan. Spraying, fencing, maybe those little zapper electronic deer stakes, something. I need to be taking care of my garden here to keep the deer off of them. I just haven't had the time, energy, or um, ideas for how to proceed with that. So anyway, that's what's back here. And then up here, as you can hopefully beautifully see, I've got two dahlias. These are American Dawn. They're absolutely gorgeous. You know, if I had them situated in full sun, they would have even more flowers on them. So I'm really hoping that the serviceberry, I'll plant it back away from here so that it doesn't interrupt this flower show. At the end of this season, I'll be digging these tubers up and moving them somewhere else in the garden. These did last over the winter in the ground last season, and I had several other dahlias planted in here that didn't hold over the season, but this American Dawn did fine. So I'll either replant the tubers right away into a sunny area, probably somewhere on the front of the garden, or I'll store them over the winter and replant them next spring in a sunny area. But for right now, I'm just allowing them to bloom as much as they want to. Got lots of buds coming on, and they're so pretty. They're kind of a dusty mauvey purple with a little bit of beige in them. In another part of the garden, they're a little bit more bright pink and red and less beige and less mauve. No matter where they are, I think they're beautiful. And if they want to live this much, I will certainly let them live. And then down here, this is a gallery Monet, patio-sized dahlia. I have, I believe, 2 or 3 clumps of them that also returned from the winter. I do already have drip irrigation in this garden. I put that in last year. It runs twice a week right now for 20 minutes. I've been keeping an eye on the moisture levels in this bed, and I think twice a week for 20 minutes is sufficient. Nothing has been drying out, so I think I'll probably just keep that on that schedule. Where I took out the sugar tip Rose of Sharon, I had a long string of 1/4-inch drip irrigation that I had wrapped around the trunk. I'll probably just use that same string for the new tree. If I need to add some drippers to make sure that the tree gets the moisture that it needs, I can do that. But I think actually it's pretty good. It's looking pretty moist right now. We haven't had rain in 3 or 4 days, so I think it's good. I don't have any fertilizer on me right now. I'm out of biotone. I'm out of plant tone. I'm out of everything. End of season. So I'm not going to be using any fertilizer in the hole. However, I think I'll be okay. This is an area that was created using sheet mulching method, using the lasagna layer compost method. So the top 6 inches or more are some really rich organic material that have been here just for 2 years. Underneath that is a nice rich clay soil, is full of minerals. So I really think we'll probably be okay. And then in the future, I'll come around and put some probably plant tone around the base of the serviceberry after I get some. But for today, all I'm going to do is dig my hole, put my plant in, and then backfill and then water deeply. Some plants want to be planted a little bit high, like an inch or 2 higher than the native soil area. And that is because you don't want their root balls or their crown to rot out in clay soil that doesn't drain very well. I'm going to wait and see what the hole looks like. If it is really thick, heavy clay down under there and water isn't draining out, I probably will plant it an inch or 2 high. And that way I just am sure that the crown of the plant doesn't hold water and then rot out at the crown. I think otherwise, I think it's just me and a shovel and, away we go. Let's just do it. While I was digging, I did hit one of my lines and broke it. So need to repair this. And instead of trying to reattach with a T connector here like it was like that. If I try to just cut it off here and here and here and then put a new T in, I won't have enough length. So I actually found a piece of scrap that already had a T connected, and I'm just gonna use this, and I'll just connect them in straight lines. There, there, there. So I'm just using a straight connector and a straight connector, a straight connector here. Should wear my gloves, it won't tear up my hands so bad. The other reason is because there's dirt in here and I don't want dirt in the line. So put that on there like that. I'm going to use a metal clamp to make sure that the water pressure doesn't blow the connector apart, which I haven't had trouble, but I don't want to invite trouble, so I go ahead and do this. And then I crimp it on like that. Okay, so that'll come over to here, so I need to cut this line about right here. Oh, that was right on an emitter, so I'm going to do it over here. Yeah, okay. Alright, so now this guy, get my crimp on there first. This guy goes here. This is easier to do if they've been sitting in the sun for a while. But it's not terrible anyway. Alright, so that's that, and then pull this bracket up and over that joint. Come on now, get up there. Well, kerflooey, I want this to be up. There we go. Okay. And now I can crimp that like that. All right, so that's one. I'll do that same thing here and here. All right, there we go. Now we have a repaired line. Now, if you notice, there's not a crimp here. Just because when I made this T-joint originally, I forgot. So I think it'll be all right. And then this is the 1/4-inch drip line that will service the new serviceberry tree. If I can figure it out. Come on now. There we go. I'm going to put it right up near, but not on, the trunk for a while. And then as the tree grows, I think I won't have to irrigate it forever, but once the tree roots are out and about into the soil, it won't need this tight ring up around it. Now my goal for this tree is to have a multi-branch tree coming up from the ground, and then the canopy will eventually be limbed up so that the canopy starts about 3 feet, 4 feet off the ground and goes up tall. And then over time, as the tree gets taller, the canopy can be lifted up. But for now, the canopy is starting about right here, about 2 feet off the ground. I've already cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stems that were spindly like this one from the center. They were coming up. They were pretty skinny though, and they were all really busy in here, and I didn't want that. Because I want this to eventually take a tree form, I really need to get out any branches that are mucking up the center. So I'm actually going to take off this one. I'm going to leave this one because it has so much foliage on the top. I don't want to harm the tree's ability to grow. I am going to cut off this one though because it is growing sideways and I don't want that. So Oh, I need to sharpen my pruners apparently. And I'm going to take this one off too, just because I don't want growth that low. All right, so this branch concerns me a little bit, but I think I'll leave it for now. Next year, maybe I'll take this one off. I'm considering taking this one off too, but I think I'll leave it for now. Over time, I can always take out more, but I can't put them back on. So I think this is going to be a nice start to having an airy kind of open bottom. And again, as time moves on, as these grow taller, I'll just take leaves off and then eventually it'll be a nice open bottom. So having this tree here, hello bee, having this tree here changes the plans that I had for what the elevation of this flower border was going to look like. You may recall last spring, in spring of 2022, I drew out what my ideas were for what shapes and what sizes and which evergreen interests were going to be on this flower border. And changing this plan here, it really does change the way this border is going to look, but I think it's going to be okay. I tested out this location by standing out at the street, by standing at the front porch, and by standing about in the middle of the front walk. And from all of those angles, I was pleased with where this tree will eventually have its large, tall canopy. Now this tree gets to, I think, 20 to 25 feet tall and wide eventually, but that may take longer because it's not in full sun. It may go fast. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm happy to have it here. And if it does go 10 feet that way and 10 feet this way, I think that's okay, because now that I have this here, I can see these dahlias definitely won't be there next year. I may or may not have these dahlias there next year, but I certainly will have something low growing in front of this. And then over here, this is a velvetini smoke bush, and it stays 4 feet or less. And then those are dahlias and other annuals. Maybe this liatris will move, maybe it will stay, I don't know. But everything in here except this is kind of temporary or movable. So I'm really liking the way this tree is shaping up here. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Do you have any service berries in your yard? Do you eat the berries? Do you let the birds have them? I hope you're enjoying a wonderful day wherever you are. I hope you have a chance to get into your garden, and I hope I will see you again really soon. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.